Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, for nerds, by nerds, hanging out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
Today, Nerdarchy talks about the next Netflix original movie starring Will Smith, Bright.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
All right, guys, we actually have a cheat sheet for this one because there's a lot of things that we probably weren't going to remember, like we said in the opening, we're going to be talking about Bright, Netflix originals movie. I was very excited to see this one coming out. It was really cool that they got some named people in it, and I was impressed with that.
Well, moment one watching the trailer, Will Smith, big name. My family, me and my wife, Will Smith's on the credits. We're gonna watch it. End of story. That's it had me there. And then you start watching it, and I'm like, all right, this is, modern day D&D stuff. I can seriously get behind it. I was excited about it, and I was waiting for December 22nd to hit.
We've got our cast. We've got Will Smith as Darryl Ward, Joel Edgerton as Nick Jakoby, Noomi Rapace, I'm not sure how you say that, I'm sorry, Naomi, as Leilah, a dark elf, and Lucy Fry as Tikka, the elf trader, right? And guess what, guys? This is probably going to be spoiler-ridden, so you may not want to watch. Now, we have directed by David Ayer and written by Max Landis. They've all done stuff that people are going to recognize, so that part is really cool. So I was really happy with that. Now, one of the things like I kept seeing online, especially on Facebook and Twitter, and are like Shadowrun. This is not Shadowrun. It makes me wonder if these people even played Shadowrun, because that is like a dystopian future cyberpunk game, right?
All right, you pull out Shadowrun. You've got criminal organizations all over the place. Okay, yeah, there were gangs and there were things going on in there. But it wasn't corporate run. It wasn't Shadowrun. There wasn't magic and technology all over the place. It was slightly more, maybe slightly in the future for us.
I don't think so. No, that was modern day. If you wanted a descriptor, I would say take Lord of the Rings, advance it 2,000 years. That's what it was to me. Shadowrun is completely different. It's a different genre. This was an urban fantasy, and that is cyberpunk with fantasy elements. There's some mishmash, there's some genre crossing, but they're completely different. Because other than the fact that they both have fantasy elements, right from there they just fork and go in different directions. I really enjoyed Bright. I know the critics trashed it. Other people don't like it, and I'm kind of particular about movies in the sense that I don't like things over-explained. I feel like a lot of times it detracts from the movie and it gets worse. I feel like if you go back and revisit the movie again, like with sequels and prequels and stuff like that, I like to see that stuff come out like that. And I like the flow and how they did it in Bright. I know there's a lot of people are going to disagree with me. They want it all just like thrown at them in a bucket. And I like getting it like eased into it and getting it like, oh, like these aha moments of what's kind of like going on.
The problem with the over explanation is, where do you stop? We start off, right away as, Darryl is in his home and he's dealing with, the past couple of weeks of what happened, and he's got to deal with the darn pixie in the bird feeder again.
Fairy lives don't matter. Well, even before that, I love the way that they opened up the movie. Now, I know some people aren't going to like this at all. They're like SJW, blah, blah, blah. But there's a lot of social commentary in the very beginning and opening credits and kind of like throughout the movie. Those opening credits, what they really do too is they kind of like paint the picture of how things are. This is where elves are. This is where orcs are. And this is where this is kind of where the humans are, without like spending a ton of time talking about it, doing backstory, and giving you all those elements. You kind of like they bring you up to speed in like a really fast, condensed way. I enjoyed that part.
I thought that was very good, and it spoke to the setting really well, and it gave you a jumping off point so that you're not lost when you see these creatures that aren't in our world.
When you see
But
how the orcs are being treated
right.
and where the hell the elves are treated.
So, going back to the pixie, and the, how much do you explain? Well, are pixies like what we know in the monster manual, where they're, tricksters and, they're just fake creatures, or are they more of a nuisance angle? And, it's not really important to the story, but the more you get into the nitty gritty and the I want to explain everything, it's going to take longer and it's going to detract from your main story arc.
And it's going to jack the budget way up. So one of the things that, like, some of the chatter that I've seen has been about, why aren't these explained? Why isn't there more magic? Why isn't there this? And I felt like those things were kind of like handled if you kind of paid attention, not in great detail. But I'm okay with that because I would love to see what they have to do with the sequel. And as you get more information, for instance, I think a lot of people came into this movie, especially the kind of people that I would be hanging around with online, with a lot of baggage. And you need to check it at the door. It's not Shadowrun and it's not D&D. It's fantasy, and they did their spin on it. They did their take on it. Clearly there's magic, but it's not like everybody can do magic. The wands weren't like Harry Potter. Everyone has a wand. No, these were like artifacts that were very rare.
These were special, and it literally was like, hey, you want magic powers, you want wishes. This is what a magic wand can do.
But I think that was actually a misconception the general populace in the movie had. Because if you watch and pay attention, the wands did some really powerful things. They did specific things, but they weren't like do anything. That I think that was like the disconnect between the general populace. Like they're like, oh, I just hit the lottery. I've got a wand. But if you were paying attention to it, one, you had to be a bright in order to use it. Extremely rare if you're human. It seemed like it might be more common if you're an elf. They didn't get into that part. We don't really know. Can any elf use a wand? I don't know. I take it the significance of being a bright, no matter what race you are, was there, and there was little things that if you paid attention, you would pick up on, like there's dwarves in this world, but we never see one, and it's only mentioned once.
I do remember hearing the term dwarf without seeing one.
When the gang boss is talking about throwing parties, he includes dwarves among the people who are all hanging out and being in the party together till the cops mess it up.
I like the angle that they had with the orcs and their teeth. You had to be blooded in order to be allowed to grow your teeth. Otherwise, they were filed down.
Yeah,
And that was something that like you didn't get to until like you were really deep in the movie.
you got pieces of it, right? And then those pieces made sense. You have Jakoby, and he's in there, and he doesn't have the tusks like everybody else does. And then it comes down to like they really early on they kind of cut through the elven Beverly Hills area, right? And even like one of the chauffeurs, one of the servants basically of the elves is an orc, and he's busting Jacoby's balls about the tusks.
So it was good to see that was like moved slowly throughout the whole movie, and you finally get half to three-quarters of the way through about like what that means to be blooded and how it works. So like the layers that were built into it were pretty awesome.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Now, like some of the areas I've seen people kind of bitching about is like unimaginative or real or not very complex things in the movie, like plots and stuff. Like, we all knew once we knew being a bright was an important thing. It's obvious the Ward character was going to be a bright. The writing was on the wall. There was something going. They kind of alluded to it really early. All stories have been told before, right? All we can do is put our spin on them. So that stuff doesn't bother me as much. The idea that, the FBI has their own magic division, and it's not like some fancy name, and it's just the magic division or anti-magic task force or whatever it was, is like, well, what do you want to call it? What look at government agencies and how they name things now. It's not like they're getting, particularly creative. It's just this is what the thing is.
Yeah, I would have liked to have seen more development with them, but Again, spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. Thought it was really awesome when we got down, to like the very end, and it was like, yes, nothing actually happened. There was no wand. Like just the conversation between Will Smith and
Oh yeah,
that lead
yeah.
that
It was
lead agent.
terrorists.
I thought it was really really well done, and I couldn't have asked for better resolution there.
The other thing too is looking at like some of the more powerful magic elements of the movie. Like we see a resurrection happen. That's some strong stuff. But it wasn't like a D&D resurrection, like in the sense that the person actually performing the resurrection, it was actually killing them to actually do it. So clearly, even being a bright, there's limitations on magic and there's a cost.
And the visual looked like it was rewinding time. So like, I thought that was pretty interesting.
And so the idea too, like the idea that the premise of the movie is based on this is 2,000 years after this Dark Lord has risen up and been put down. The orcs sided with him, so everyone hates the orcs. But it was actually an orc hero that kind of rose up and kind of raised the common orcs to fight against the Dark Lord, which was kind of interesting. And you see that in like one explanation that Jakoby gives, like he wants to be a hero, that's why he became a cop, and in the graffiti in the very beginning, so it's like really easy to miss. So there's definitely some things like that. I felt like there was a lot of nuance for a movie that's only a couple hours long.
I do think that, and I think that the movie can be used as like a bit of a training agent for GMs for dealing with those layers and dealing with multiple plot elements moving at the same time. Like so frequently we as GMs we're concerned with you've got the player characters and you've got one organization of NPCs and they're moving at odds. In this movie, you've got the gangbangers that are trying to get the wand. You've got the renegade police. You've got the magic police, as well as the Inferni that are going after the magic wand because she wants 3 wands to be able to resurrect the Dark Lord.
And there's another one that kind of kicked things off that only briefly is in it, and it kind of like helps explain some things as well. And that's the Shield of Light. And I really dug the tattoos that they used to mark themselves with, because they were like like you can only see them with like infrared, like a black light or something. So that was kind of cool. And clearly they use magic as well because the elven Fed is like when they end the interrogation with this Shield of the Light agent, the line he gives them is, "If you fight like my enemy, you are my enemy." Now people are like, well, why? Why is there no magic? Why has not magic evolved? Because clearly, at some point in this timeline, was equated to the Dark Lord, and at some point they said, you know what? No one can be trusted with magic. We have to do away with magic. It's bad. It's no good. It's going to bring the Dark Lord back. Now there's a secret agent says no, kind of like in Dark Sun a little bit with the Vowed Alliance, right? They're like, no, you need fire to fight fire. So they're like, and like in his line was like, it's okay, you can beat us up, you can do whatever, and still when the Dark Lord comes, we're going to be the ones that we're going to be here, and we're going to send them back just like we did before, and we're going to use magic to do it. So there were just different takes, and I love the fact that the perception of the general populace and what magic could do was different from the people that actually knew magic, right? And which was different than the audience, because a lot of us are like, we play D&D, why isn't it like that? But their magic is different.
Yep. So all in all, great amount of layers, good story. Yes, there's a lot of social commentary, and love it or hate it, it makes that world real. It's true to the process and the progress of their own story. I just thought was well done.
And there was a couple of things too that I watched it twice. Because I was like, well, we want to do a video on it, and I have a terrible memory. I better watch it more than once. And it was a way for me to like sit down with the family and spend time with them and sneak in some extra work. And so I was like, I had read something, and someone mentioned centaurs and a dragon. I'm like, I totally missed both of those. And I had given you the heads up, and you found the dragon, but there's 2 scenes where there's centaur
there's
cops.
2 scenes? Wow.
Yeah, both of them are like cops. They're outside along the side of the street, standing around, and it's real easy to miss the horse legs, the lower quadrant of the horse, and just see cops.
Well,
But I've been looking for it, and I seen it, so that's really cool because now we know there's dragons, there's brights, there's centaurs, there's elves, there's dwarves in this world, there's orcs in this world. Means there's probably room for other stuff in this world. Now I could see why maybe some people are like, kind of comparing it to Shadowrun, where a lot of what you're seeing is basically looks run down, and it could look kind of like a dystopian kind of setting.
but
But
when you go to the Elven Quarter, I just don't see it.
yeah, it's LA, it's Hollywood, and really what you're seeing is you're seeing the bad side of town because that's where the cops are and that's where the bad stuff is happening. So it makes sense to me. I would like to see a little more of this world.
All right, so let's put it. If they were to continue, would you want to see sequel movie or would you want to see a sequel TV show?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Like you could definitely do a TV series, and it would be great as a TV series. I'm
I
not opposed to the movie either, though.
I think that this has the staying power to do a really good TV show. Netflix has already produced quite a large amount. Now, they may or may not be able to bring Will Smith in for that, but if you were to take it from another angle, I think that there would definitely be a lot that they could work with here.
So, like, here's my take on that. They've already greenlit a sequel.
Oh, nice.
That's already happening. The budget you can do for a movie compared to a series, that's where that's where the problem comes. Like, the difference between having Will Smith do 12, 13 episodes and having him just do another movie is huge.
Oh, I'm I'm aware.
So I feel like you're gonna get more bang for your buck by doing the movie, and also because there's a lot of effects and stuff like that in it as well. Now I wouldn't mind seeing maybe give us a trilogy and then do a series. I don't know, once it's spread, but it's definitely a world that I would enjoy playing. Playing an RPG in.
That would definitely work for me.
For me, they covered their bases. I'm simplistic. Don't take my word for it. I'm terrible judging movies. All I know is I like it, and I'm not going to apologize for that. So you guys, check it out.
I enjoyed it as well. So how about this? Why don't you let us know down in the comments below what your thoughts and opinions are on it. If you want, vote in on whether you'd like to see movie or TV show. While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Check us out over on Patreon. You can go Patreonize us in a good way.
So until next time,
Stay
stay nerdy.
nerdy.